Buttice with an astrology update for the full moon on February 27th. We have a full moon in Virgo, the sixth sign of the zodiac. I myself am a Virgo. And the sign of service, the sign of the Virgin, the sign of mutable earth, and on the Pisces Virgo axis. So whenever we have a full moon, the other side of it is wherever the sun is. It's exactly opposing the sun. So it's in a Pisces Virgo axis. And these two have a depth of connection that I'm going to get into as I kind of talk about what is going on because really at the end of this month, February 27th, we're getting a full moon, we're getting a culmination, a potency, an illumination of what kind of has been going on in the month of February. And if you're at all spiritually attuned, you can probably have been picking up on some crazy new kind of energetic currents that have been wafting, coming, opening themselves to us. And I want to kind of talk about that for a minute before I kind of really go into the full moon. We really are, 2020 changed our world forever. And not just in a material sense, not just in a sense that's like, oh, the stock market changed, or oh, humans couldn't go out anymore, or whatever like that. What I'm talking about here is it shifted the energy of the planet because an entire population, an entire world had to literally go inside. We had to reconcile with the things in our lives that maybe we had been rushing and avoiding and pushing and striving and in order to not have to face. And that changed a lot of things. A lot of relationships dissolved. A lot of people came together. New careers, a lot of realizations about the self, right? And what this really did was that it took this energy of this old school system that was not working, and it just destroyed it. It dissolved it. And we've ended up in this space now where there is this really kind of leveled energy, leveled playing field, where all of us are beginning to really feel into what's authentic to us, what feels right, now that we have more freedom to work from home, we have more freedom to do what we like, from the computer, from the electricity, from the Aquarian energy of technology. There's just more of a true authentic individual power that is emerging. And so this is really what kind of the energy, what this has created, and what my guides and what I've been picking up on is that there literally is a new currency. I talked about this in my last video, but there is a new currency that is happening, that is happened. You can see it literally. There's a new currency with the Bitcoin that is rising and the cryptocurrencies that are rising, but that's just an indicative, metaphoric part of this new energy that we are now a part of that has kind of elevated the consciousness. And there's been some ebbs and flows this month. And I don't know about you guys, but I really felt like this month, I felt really electric and excited and yeah, I'm excited for this new world, right? And then I also felt depleted, exhausted, and I could barely get out of bed. And I was just what the hell is going on? And so, so there's been windstorms, and there's been shifts in economic changes, and all of this is we're all just starting to get acclimated. This new energy is coming in, and it hasn't quite stabilized yet, right? Because we're all still kind of releasing and letting go of this old way. It's really a frequency. It's a new frequency that's come in. And we're all starting to allow ourselves to attune to it, but it's like a radio station that's kind of like still trying to find the exact dial, we're just not quite exactly there. The signal is not totally clear yet. So we're kind of it's fuzzy. we kind of get, we make it back into old patterns of fear-based whatever, of codependency with partners, of whatever, and then it'll get clear, and then we kind of start seeing, oh yeah, this is what feels right. Oh yeah, this is the right path forward. Oh yeah, my intuition's on point here. And that's kind of what I've been feeling this month, is these ebbs and these flows, and you can kind of see it with this crazy amount of windstorms around the globe, and like the Aquarius rules air, and there's this air energy that's just kind of like moving really intensely and kind of initiating this new kind of frequency. And so this full moon on the 27th in Virgo it's really this culmination, this illumination of whatever kind of has been the undercurrent for this cycle of the past 27, 28 days. And what is being highlighted on this full moon is like I said, there's the the Pisces Virgo axis is getting highlighted, right? But then there's also the sun is actually conjunct Venus. And I remembered from 2 weeks ago, there was, when I did the new moon forecast, there was there was a Jupiter Venus conjunction on that new moon. And there's a lot of Venus activity that's happening. And what I have noticed and what I have felt and what my guides have revealed to me is that how this is showing up, and this might be the case for what is happening with you, because it's happening for me and it's happening to a lot of people that I know, is that the quality and the kind of relationships that we have had, and these can be friendships, these can be lovers, these can be husbands and wives, these relationship dynamics are starting to change. And this is part of that destabilization that I'm talking about, this new frequency coming in. Because what's happened is that the older energies that have been demolished, that 2020 really got to the root of, all of that was based in this hierarchy, this old school patriarchal model that really was based in codependency, this codependency of the masculine and the feminine, where both sides needed each other to express different parts of themselves. They were not whole and unto themselves. They had parts of themselves that they needed in order to be able to function, right? Traditionally, that's the female energy doing more of these, nurturing emotional roles, while the masculine energy is doing more of the materiality and that making sure the home is taken care of and the money and the finances, right? This can happen in all different ways, but that energy, it no longer works in this new age. It doesn't. It's like something has happened, a switch has flipped, and that is not working. I've seen it in so many of my friends and so many of my family members and so many of, in my own life, anything that is actually codependent, even within myself, it doesn't work anymore. With this, the reason why it's really highlighted and why I'm speaking to it is because Virgo and Pisces, they're really this energy around service. They're really, the Pisces can be called the mystic or the martyr, right? And Virgo, its whole ethos is really about service and service to humanity, and in order to perfect itself. And I myself am a Virgo, so I know this very well. But that energy, these codependent relationships between the masculine and the feminine, what I have found is that what ends up happening in these codependent relationships is that both people feel like they're not being seen for who they are, and both people feel like all they're doing is being slaves to the other, and that they aren't really allowed to express their full needs, they aren't allowed to fully receive, and that all their whole life is spent kind of in service to upholding the energy of the other, because the love is so strong and they want to, assist and help and heal. And that energy, it's part of this old school hierarchical energy that it doesn't work anymore. We've literally entered a new era where the frequencies have up-leveled, and the fierce individualism and the authentic power of this new era is not allowing for that kind of consciousness to continue to perpetuate. And if you are an empath, which you most likely are if you're attracted to my work, which is really what the work that I do is work with empaths, is, this is the time. I've been told, and I fundamentally believe that by my guides, that this is the era of the empath. And it really is the era of us like fundamentally finding the balance and the power within, which really means, and what the way that I've seen this is, really strengthening my own energy field so that I don't have these parts of myself. Because really, when we're in these codependent relationships, let's get to the deepest part of it, right? When we're in any kind of a codependent energy, codependent, you're dependent, you depend on somebody for this part of yourself that you're not quite able to access, or you're not quite able to let out, or you do not feel fundamentally worthy of expressing, or you do not feel fundamentally worthy of receiving. And so you get into a situation where you are having to perpetually give. It's exhausting. You become the martyr, you become the servant, the slave, whatever. And you're never able to authentically show yourself. And you perpetuate this kind of worthlessness. This is what I have found with empaths especially. And I know this because this has been my journey. And I'm fundamentally now feel that I'm coming out of it. I've always been extremely independent, but I'm always, since a young age, because I have been so empathic and psychic, have struggled with self-worth. Because self-worth, when you are a sponge and you pick up the pain of everybody around you all the time, you constantly feel like you want to help them. And so you make yourself smaller and smaller and smaller, and your energy field becomes smaller and smaller and smaller in order to take on their energy, in order to help them. And what ends up happening is like you become just tiny, you become teeny tiny, and you end up, that perpetuates this sense of worthlessness, like whatever it is that you have to give isn't worthy, and that you really just need to be in a space of serving someone else, serving their stronger energy field, serving them because they are worthy. And the way that you end up getting your worth is through serving. So it's the self-perpetuating cycle. And that's really what the deepest essence of codependency is. And you may not say, no, that's not me. That's not how codependency has showed up for me in my life. I'm really just going to the fundamental root of it. But what I have found is when you start peeling away the layers of being codependent, it really comes down to these deeper layers of self-worth and what we feel worthy of, and whether or not we feel whole. And wholeness is directly connected to worthiness. They're all connected. And so, I really fundamentally, this is really my theme, and my ethos of 2021 is really about this cultivation of this wholeness within the self. And that's really what this new era of Aquarius is bringing in, is this authentic power, right? This authentic, fierce, revolutionary individualism, where we're not stuck under these systems, where we're not stuck, where we're not connected, where we're not dependent on these sources outside of us to give us security, to give us power so that we feel safe, right? That's what codependency is. And instead, we are from ourselves, feel whole, feel complete, feel worthy of owning our own powerful energetic field, sitting in it and being in it. And so this is really this wholeness within the self. And this is what all of my work this year is about. And I've created a new self-worth course of building self-worth and sacred boundaries. And this is really my theme for 2021. And it's really about not asking any outside source, any kind of outside source, financial, personal, anything, to complete or make up what we ourselves need to allow in. And it's really that simple, because it's not about pushing or striving or creating or controlling. It's simply about allowing. And that is really the truth of it. And so to bring it back to this full moon and the whatever it is that we're learning here on this new energy frequency that we're all kind of riding now, if you are having any kind of relationship issue with yourself, with another, it's really fundamentally the time. If you're in, and if you've noticed that you're in any kind of a codependent situation at all, it's really just a good time. You don't have to like fix every single thing in a day. It's like Rome wasn't built in a day, right? But simply becoming honest about that state and really tuning into the truth of the self, that there's something that doesn't feel right? Tuning into our intuition. The age of Aquarius, this new era, it's all about intuition. It's all about intuition. Intuition is the channel, it's the funnel to authentic living and authentic truth. And so what you can do is you can really just begin to tune in, sit quietly with the self, take some deep breaths, and allow yourself to feel, to tune into your heart, to your solar plexus, and to tune into what actually feels right and what doesn't feel right. And whatever doesn't feel right, beginning to allow yourself to address it and fundamentally start doing work to shift that, to start making up the places or the spaces where we are depending on anything outside of ourselves to make up what we ourselves must cultivate in order to really transform in order to make up the energy of the new world. Because we ourselves, as the empaths, are leading the charge, y'all. And it's really up to us to do this fundamental and powerful work, because we are the energy workers for the planet, and we are the ones that are actually working with the energy. And so it's up to us to begin to really fortify and create and ground and cultivate this deeper sense of wholeness and this deeper sense of worth. So if you're interested and you need help with this at all, I've created a new course called The Sacred Boundary: Cultivating Authentic Self-Worth that was based out of all the 2020 deep spiritual work that I did. And if you're interested, please contact me, info@ChaseButtice.com, or you can write a comment on this YouTube. But either way, you can use this full moon to begin to illuminate. We are at this high apex point of illumination, these darker aspects within the self, these pieces that we may not have been able to look at until now, that we may not know how to have looked at until now, but that are desperately aching to come out of the woodwork, to be aching to be seen, so that we can allow this true light within to begin to shine and emerge, so that this new world order can begin to stabilize, so that the frequencies get stronger and our energy fields become more established. So I hope this helped you today. This is the guidance I have received to give you, and I hope that it gave you some good, strong, authentic truth to integrate into your life. And I love you all so much. I hope you have a wonderful full moon. Get out there and howl, sit under it, look at it, spend some time, go inward. You are the new world. All right, I love you all.